What's good, everyone? This is Jacob Moses, host of the Not Boring Tech Writer podcast, where in each episode we focus on a different skill that you can learn to enhance your skill set, improve your marketability, diversify your career, and ultimately break the stereotype that technical writing is a boring career. This episode's skill: landing a tech writing internship. As prospective tech writers look for ways to get into the tech writing field, many pursue tech writing internships, and understandably so. Internships give prospective tech writers hands-on experience in tech writing, giving them an opportunity to boost their skills and get a feel for the industry. However, finding that tech writing internship can be challenging, especially if you aren't pursuing a tech writing related degree in university. That's why in this episode we have German tech writer Joachim on the podcast, who's 6 weeks into his first tech writing internship. Joachim has learned several lessons about how to find and thrive in a tech writing internship, which you'll find helpful no matter where you live. Enjoy. Hey Joachim, how are you today?
Hi Jacob, I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm doing good, thank you. So happy to have you on the podcast today. How's life in Ludwigshafen?
Very nice. It's cold and dark, but
Is it?
that's not the fault of the city.
Yeah, you are in Germany. So what time is it in Germany right now?
It's 17:30.
Gotcha. In the evening?
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
5:30
you
evening.
got
Yeah.
you got quite a few hours on me. I'm just on to my second cup of coffee now.
Yeah.
Well, Joachim, I'm really excited to be chatting with you today. We have a great skill to discuss together, and that is landing a tech writing internship. And this is
Yes.
a really important episode for many of our listeners.
Hmm.
Joachim, a big chunk of them are students, at
Hmm.
university, either studying technical communication or perhaps a tech concentration with an English department,
Hmm.
many of which are actively seeking that very first internship. I know you're in the middle of a tech writing internship
Yes.
in Ludwigshafen, so really excited to discuss your journey, any obstacles you've overcome along the way, and hopefully some great lessons learned to pass on to listeners today. To get us started, um,
Yes.
tell us a little bit about the type of work that you've been doing in your tech writing internship.
I yeah. I right now I work in a software company,
Cool.
and I'm writing documentation in the development layer. So it's all about source code and how to use it. Yeah, it's nothing I knew before how to do. So I never learned any programming or
Yeah.
not much. But well, the companies seem to be prepared for a tech writer who's not into their particular programming language and style. So they trained me, and yes, now I'm about after 6 weeks, I'm ready to really write stuff about what's going on in the source
Yeah.
code.
That's an exciting feeling. That's
Yeah.
that next step
Yes.
in the process of becoming a tech writer. That's awesome,
Hmm.
Joachim. You mentioned that you never worked in source code before. You, of course, were never taught, programming languages before starting this internship.
That's
What were
correct.
you doing before getting into TechCom? Was this a new interest of yours?
Yes, so I had been working at a university for a long time as an assistant doing any kind of job you could imagine in a university,
Yeah.
except teaching. So it was like administration and project management and stuff like that, you know. And
Yeah.
so I always knew that this wouldn't be like the thing I would like to do forever.
Sure.
So I was well. At one point in time, I started looking for other opportunities. Yeah, um, other ways to work. And maybe I should talk about my background as well. I'm a studied translator, so
Nice.
I studied Spanish and French in my early 20s. Now I'm 39 years old. And well, after studying translation, I did an MBA, just well, Master of Business Administration. I don't know if everybody knows that abbreviation.
Nice.
And that was just both of those studies were just pure interest for the subject. So I
Yeah.
was interested in languages, then I was interested in business and economics, and well, like this, I ended up working at a university, let's say. Okay.
Yeah.
And so trying to find something else for me to do for maybe another part of my life, maybe not the
Yeah.
rest of my working life, but
Sure. Sure.
just something new. I kind of looked for jobs that had to do with writing or with copywriter or online editor, things
Yeah.
like that. And with the term editor, I finally, well, stumbled over a job listing that said technical writer or technical editor. And
Did you even know what that was?
no,
Like,
not
was
at
that
all.
even in your vote set? Yeah, I
No,
wouldn't have thought so either.
no. And they, yeah, I sometimes thought they could have told me right after university, that this job exists.
Yeah.
Because it's for a translator, it's actually it's a good choice. So there are
Yeah.
many translators who make a shift towards technical writing. Um, well, okay, I stumbled over this expression technical editor, and I started reading about it, and the more I knew about it, the more I also knew this is what I want to do or I want to try, and so started gathering info. And here in Germany, we have something like an association of technical writers.
Gotcha.
It's called TechCom for technical communication, um, and they are pretty well organized uh, in that field. I don't know. Do you guys have something like that in the States?
We have some comparable things. The first one that comes to mind is the Society for Technical Communication. I think they have several dozen state chapters
Mm-hmm.
throughout North America. I know I'm based here in Denton, Texas. I know Texas has
Mm-hmm.
its own STC chapter. And then we
Mm-hmm.
have another one called Write the Docs. This is a
Mm-hmm.
nonprofit for what they call all sorts of documentarians. So people doing end user documentation, developer documentation, which sounds like the kind of work that you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple great comparable associations similar to what's going down in Germany. I imagine the first time you saw that listing, like your eyes just lit up because I can tell that you have, of course, a passion for language, with studying French and Spanish translation, obviously an interest in business and product developments as you pursued your MBA. What were those first steps like actually trying to get into this industry? I know you were looking at the different associations. Did you find your internships there? How did that go?
Well, first, yes, I started talking to the guys from TechCom, from that association, and they
Yeah.
were very helpful for getting a bigger picture of the whole job. And also on their webpage, they have precise information about how you can get a certification
Nice.
from TechCom. So they make a test with you, or they yes an examination, and so you can earn a certification
Cool.
that is accepted by many employers.
Yeah.
Or
Is that what you pursued? That certification through the association?
yes, this is what I'm doing right now.
Nice.
Um,
Nice.
Here in Germany, we say that it's the country of certifications. So you always need something in your portfolio to show black on white that you
Yeah.
know something about this and that. Sometimes, yes, it feels stupid, but it is like that. So you just follow along. And
As you've started this certification course, have you felt that it's boosted your own confidence to get into the job search as opposed to,
uh,
maybe just finding a random listing online and applying?
yes, so the further details in my path were that yeah, I made the decision. Okay, this is what I'm gonna do. So I quit my old job. I went into unemployment, and I had the unemployment aid or the well they call it job agency.
Yep.
They paid for my education.
Wow.
Yeah, they said I'm old. Yeah, and
That's a
so
program from
I qualify.
the federal government?
Yes.
Wow.
So I was able to get some more. Uh, yes, I was able to get in that program where they actually fund for some further education.
Yeah. That's
So
great,
this,
Joachim.
yes, yes, I was surprised that I could really get this support from them. I always thought I had to find a, a job, like a small tech writing job or anything that would get me closer to the goal with less salary and all. But like this, I'm still officially unemployed and I'm also officially in this 9 month education program that will
Gotcha.
lead me towards the take home certification as a tech writer. So
That's
this is
great, Joachim.
yes, yes. So this is like a perfect path, I would say. I,
Yeah.
I'm sure it's not possible for everyone in any country, but maybe still you could try to look for fundings or for ways to make it easier for you because education is for in many countries is something they actually try to push.
Yeah, I know here in the United States, there are several options to get a tech writing certificate. I know through many, traditional channels, you can get one at a university,
Mm.
maybe like an online university, but
Mm-hmm.
also like the last guest we had on the Not Boring Tech Writer, um,
Mm-hmm.
this gentleman ended up getting his tech writing certificate through Coursera, which I think
Ah,
like aggregates a bunch of like online
okay.
courses onto a single platform. So I think
Mm-hmm.
he paid $40, got the tech writing certificate, still
Yeah.
working as an occupational therapist. But
Uh-huh.
as you said, it was a cool way for him to, ramp up his
Yeah.
tech writing skills. That's his end
Yeah.
goal, of course. Um,
Mm.
Granted, he had to keep working full time as an occupational therapist, but
Mm.
regardless, he didn't have to like sacrifice his livelihood to pursue something that interests him, which is what I think we all hope for
Yeah.
in our
Sure.
society, whether we're in North America or Germany. So tell us a little bit about the kind of work you're doing right now in your internship. You said you're working with source code and programming. Are you doing like a developer documentation?
Yes, correct. So it's a specific field, like a micro topic within a bigger topic, which is all about RESTful programming.
Gotcha.
Anybody knows about that? And yes, so let me go back one step, and because the internship that I'm doing is a mandatory part of the education program that I'm in, but
Gotcha.
we had to find the company ourselves. So they didn't
Hmm.
help us in getting the internship. And what helped me getting into a well known software company was I remembered someone had told me when I left my old job, someone told me, hey, if you need something in our company, just give me a call. And that's what I
Nice.
did.
Nice.
Yes, it's. I think it's something you should also try to do when you try to find a job or internship. Just scan all your friends and former colleagues just to find
Oh
some.
yeah.
I was talking to many people from different companies, different areas. I also had more than one interview regarding an internship in other companies, people who didn't know me before. And this process was also very rewarding. So I learned a lot in these, yeah, job interviews,
Yeah.
because also the employers were very interested in me becoming a tech writer, and many of them asked as their second question, so forget about the internship, do you want to work for me in a
Wow.
permanent position? So
I bet that felt good.
yeah, that sounded very good, and that also made me a little bit, well, a lot more self-confident
Yeah.
also now when I'm really trying to find a permanent job for next year, because certification examination is in February, and so I will try to find something for March.
That's awesome, Joachim. And I think
Yeah.
about my own tech writing career. An internship was huge.
Mm.
I think I got my first tech writing internship the fall of my senior year, and I majored in tech writing, believe it or
Mm-hmm.
not, from the University of North Texas. I think it's one
Nice.
of maybe
Mm-hmm.
like a dozen universities in North America we can actually
Mm-hmm.
major in tech
Mm-hmm.
comm.
Mm-hmm.
And like you, like I got my internship through, just friends and past colleagues. I was on
Yeah.
Twitter,
Okay.
and I had followed a company that I was a big fan of, Rainmaker Digital, just because I liked their products. I'd use them for
Uh-huh.
some personal blogs. And then one day the CFO tweets, "Hey, looking for a tech writer in Dallas." And I
Nice.
was like, "Hey, you know what? I'll tweet back. We'll see what happens."
Mm-hmm.
And while my internship consisted of, half of the time picking up frozen paninis and the other half writing white papers, um, it was still like a huge part of me advancing my own tech writing career. Have you
Mm-hmm.
noticed, thinking back on the work you've done in the internship so far, any particular moments that have boosted your own confidence and willingness to pursue this career?
Oh, yes. So I started, yeah, first of all, I had to learn a lot of new stuff.
Mm,
I mentioned that before, and I always felt like, well, a little bit, little stupid intern who has no idea about anything, and always has to ask and so on. And
mm,
then after a couple of weeks, when I was deeper into the topic, then people came to me and said, "Have you already checked out this and that feature? I want to know how it works." I said, "Okay,
yeah,
yeah, maybe." And at least I knew who to ask,
cool.
because yes, because I found out most of the colleagues didn't didn't have substantial knowledge about the topic,
Hmm.
so they kind of put me there to have a
Yeah.
reason to go on with that topic, because it was some older topic they nobody liked. So now
Mm,
they're forced to go into it because I'm there and I'm asking questions, and now we are gathering all the info that is somewhere around the whole building, you know.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
uh, yes, I think it's good to have a good network, also to talk to many people and just ask them what they do, and they know anything about your
Yeah.
topic, and all these things. And yes, I've just started to do that in that company, because it's a big company, and I don't know if you can ever finish.
There's a lot to learn.
Yeah, yeah.
You mentioned that, you felt stupid at times
Mm,
because, you're having to ask a lot of questions and, understandably so. I mean, you went from, working with, at the university, maybe doing all sorts of different administrative like tasks and translation
mm.
into learning a whole new programming language. I would have felt the same and asked lots of silly questions. But regardless, did you find that your colleagues were more receptive to your work, more receptive to come alongside and include you in conversations, encourage you to pursue different
Absolutely.
projects because you were showing that you were willing to give some effort, even if it was complemented with some silly questions at times?
No, of course, yes. That's what
Awesome.
they said on the first day, that I have to ask all those questions, and that it's important to learn, and that it's clear that I, yes, have to ask them all these things.
Yeah.
And so they are always very supportive and very open. But it's sometimes maybe I'm just uh, just being a little bit shy, or thinking maybe I
Sure.
should already know this, so I will try to find it
Yeah.
out myself. But this is sometimes also okay if I try to find out something about the code I'm writing, and then I'm trying stuff, and then I find something out, and then I have a better learning outcome. But at some point you have to stop and say, okay, I don't understand anything, so let's
Sure.
just ask stupid questions again.
Sure. And I imagine along the way, as you're doing your own research, trying to solve these problems on your own,
Mm.
you're gradually developing that shared language. So instead of, going to the developer and trying to explain in some arcane terms
Yeah.
how to do such and such, you come to them with a language that they're familiar with. And
Yes.
perhaps it's easier for them to give you the information that you need. I know that's something that,
Yes.
as I look back at my own internships
Hmm.
and my work as a full-time tech writer, like that was huge. Just being able to speak like the developer or speak like my supervisor, so they have an
Yeah.
idea of exactly what I'm asking, so I can go about my task.
Yeah. Yeah. And also it's a way to test their existing documentation. So there are a lot of
Mm,
things that I say, this code example doesn't work, or about this and that annotation I don't find anything. And they
yeah,
say, yes, we're aware of it, or oh yeah, you have to include that in your work, in your
yeah.
project. Yeah.
So, how you explained this internship in Germany, it sounds very similar to tech writing internships in North America. So I'm curious, how long have you been at this internship?
It's about 6 weeks now.
So looking back on the 6 weeks, have you encountered any challenges that perhaps students who are interested in pursuing a tech writing internship could perhaps be on the lookout for should they land their own internship? Anything you didn't expect that would have been helpful to know beforehand?
Um, I can imagine that in uh, any subject, any industry, you will have to learn a lot about the products that you will be writing
Yeah,
about. So the moment I knew that I was going to go to the software company, because software, it was just coincidence, could have also been mechanical engineering. So the moment I knew I was going to do this, I started learning about their product, and
mm,
about the way, also about their programming language and everything. So um, yeah, I think it helps if you find a company that you find interesting, and that you
yes,
try to find products that you really like, or that you want to know more about, and then
yes,
the learning process, it's so much fun, and that helps a lot. Getting up every day and saying, okay, I'm going to go there and learn something.
definitely,
Yeah,
definitely.
that's what I missed in my older job, was doing more or less the same every day, and having that routine over the year. And now everything is new every day. So yeah, it helps to be curious and open, and also ready to ask the stupid question again,
Yeah,
because you really want to nail it down.
that's right. You want to know what you need to know about the product to
Yeah.
document it properly.
Mm,
That's
mm,
awesome, Joachim. And I think about, there's been times whenever I've gone back to the University of North Texas and spoken with students about TechCom.
mm-hmm.
That's a similar message that I've shared, and I like to use the example of, if for every meal you're ordering takeout or delivery, and that's how you get your daily nourishment, don't accept a tech writing job at like a kitchen appliance company because
Mm,
you don't
mm,
really mess with the kitchen too much. You obviously don't have an interest in it, and it probably won't be the most enjoyable time documenting the product. I think that's a very appropriate prerequisite, depending on your situation, where, hey, if you have just like the minimal aptitude for it, If you can see yourself going in every day and you're willing to document this or that, willing to get into the nooks and crannies of it, ask your colleagues more to learn more about it. Um, Absolutely, I think worth the wait to find an employer like that, work with a product that interests you. I'm
Mm.
curious, it's of course ideal for the tech writer to actually use the product that they're
Mm.
documenting. And I think about my past whenever I worked at Rainmaker Digital. I was lucky enough to do that. We had a content management system called the Rainmaker platform. I used it for my personal blog. So I got lucky and it was fairly easy to document because I was using a lot of these same features
Mm-hmm.
as the end user would. In your experience, what has it been like for you to learn how this product actually works and to document it properly, despite not perhaps using it exactly how an end user would?
The product I am describing, I can actually use and try out
Cool.
and see what it does.
Cool.
And I can only imagine that if I didn't have this opportunity, I would have to ask many more stupid questions and talk to end users as well.
Yeah.
But still, this is also something I want to do more. I hope, yeah, I hope to maybe talk to some clients of the company to ask how they work. It's something that I'm still not exactly sure about because in software development, people have very different levels of knowledge, of
Mm-hmm.
preliminary knowledge about programming or this special kind of software. So when I'm writing, um, I sometimes don't know, okay, should I imply that the reader knows this circumstance, or
Sure.
should I explain it again? Or
Sure.
yeah, normally you would refer to other chapters to say if you're not familiar with this kind of thing, then go to somewhere else in the same help
Yeah.
document. Um, does that answer your question? I don't
Yeah.
know. I
It
mean,
does.
if you write about
Beautifully.
airplanes, I, I I wouldn't know how to start. I would have to think
See,
about it first.
sure. And I think, if there's tech writers listening to this who just started off at a new company as an intern
Mm.
and say they're documenting something that they don't actually have the luxury of using, I don't get to hop in the boring airplane and ride it around for an hour to understand how to document the
Yeah,
controls.
yeah.
Do you think, in your experience, has it been helpful at all to look back at existing documentation that was created before you came on staff as an intern? Has looking at that documentation kind of helped you understood the way that other tech writers write about the product that you're documenting?
Yes, absolutely. So I kind of found out about your blog through this other blog that is called a I'd rather be writing.
The best. Yes, sir. I'm
Yes.
familiar.
So he has a very wide section about API documentation, and
Hmm.
it's a little bit what I'm doing. So it's similar.
Cool.
And so I looked at that and also looked at examples he mentioned. And I also look at, of course, at the documentation of the company that is already there,
Yeah.
and try to find flaws or things that don't really work out very well. And the
Yeah.
people there, they seem to be happy that someone without um, this somebody like me, like a noob, like
Yeah.
with noob eyes, like looking at the documentation, saying, "I don't know what this is about, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't understand. I don't understand it because the topics are in the wrong."
Yes.
Uh,
That's a great point. That's
yeah.
that's value added to your skill set. Not really have any idea how any of this works.
Yes.
It's a good
Yes.
opportunity to revisit the content architecture. That's awesome, Wahim. Wahim, this has been an absolute joy. Got to learn a little more about you, the work that you're doing in tech writing, how you've used the stuff you've learned from your certificate, to apply as your work as an intern. Totally relatable work. And again, ton of students listen to this podcast. I'm hopeful that's going to be valuable lessons for them as well. I do have a final question for you.
Yes.
I'm a senior in university, a theoretical senior in university.
Mm-hmm.
Say I've perhaps pursuing tech comm university, or I've shown an interest for it. What do you think? I know you said that Germany is kind of the country of certificates. Let's say that this student has pursued a certificate of his or her own.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say is that most important next step to landing that first internship? Is it a mentality where I'm going to understand that I might get a lot of rejections, but eventually I'll get that yes? Is it having a strong understanding of the particular skill that I want to pursue, whether that's API documentation, end user documentation? Reflecting back on your experience, what was most helpful for you for landing this first internship?
Probably, let's put it this way. I was looking around for any kind of internship anywhere. So I didn't reject anything just because it was far away or some industry I didn't really find interesting. I just started to find out what is out there on the market in Germany, and I was also ready to look further into other countries. So yes, I would be completely open, because you never know where you're going to land. And if you're just looking for your first 6-month internship, I wouldn't try to cherry pick. I would just try to get something that would look okay in my CV, and then from there, once you've started, you're getting better exponentially for employers. That's what I think. Yes, maybe there might be industries where it's harder to get into, for example, automotive and engineering. Some companies really want an engineer to do the job, and they don't find any. So
yeah, I feel you.
Yeah.
Then they throw in Joachim to do it.
And so stay open and talk to as many people as you can. So when I made the decision to go this way, I told everyone that I was doing it. And finally it paid off, because somebody that I didn't know her very well at that point, and she said, "Hey, if you want to come to my company and do your internship there, just call me." That way it worked, and it was just because I told everyone.
Be proud of that next journey in your career.
Yes, and networking on LinkedIn or other portals, maybe even Facebook, will help, because if everybody knows that you are becoming a tech writer and that you're a nice guy or nice girl, then somebody will hire you.
That's wonderful, Joachim. And it sounds like no matter where you end up, so long as you're willing to put in the work to try your best to figure out the product, ask some silly questions now and then, build some rapport with the colleagues, and look back at the existing documentation. It sounds like you'll be just fine. Joachim, thank you, friend. That was a blast. We'll talk very soon.
Thank you. Goodbye, Jacob.
Bye. Thanks again to Knowledge Owl, creators of the wonderful knowledge-based software, for sponsoring the Not Boring Tech Writer podcast. And thanks so much to each of you for listening to this episode.